Employee activity as an AML risk indicator. Employees play a critical role in maintaining the effectiveness of an AML/CFT compliance program, but they can also create significant financial crime risks when involved in misconduct, negligence, corruption, or collusion with criminals. Financial institutions must recognize that suspicious employee behavior may indicate money laundering, fraud, terrorist financing, sanctions violations, or attempts to circumvent internal controls. The CAMS framework emphasizes that institutions should maintain strong internal controls, employee screening procedures, ethics programs, and monitoring mechanisms to identify unusual employee activities. Early detection of employee misconduct helps protect the institution from regulatory penalties, reputational damage, operational losses, and broader compliance failures. Responding to employee-related red flags. When suspicious employee activity is identified, institutions should follow a structured investigative and escalation process. Common employee red flags include overriding internal controls, accessing customer records without business justification, unusual relationships with customers, reluctance to take vacations, unexplained wealth, repeated policy exceptions, or attempts to bypass AML procedures. Management should immediately document concerns, preserve evidence, restrict unauthorized access where appropriate, and notify relevant compliance, human resources, legal, or internal audit personnel. Investigations should remain confidential and objective. Depending on findings, institutions may impose disciplinary measures, terminate employment, enhance monitoring, file regulatory reports, or refer matters to law enforcement authorities. Purpose and importance of SAR/STR reporting. Suspicious activity reports, SARs, and suspicious transaction reports, STRs, are among the most important tools used by financial institutions to combat money laundering, terrorist financing, fraud, corruption, and other financial crimes. These reports provide financial intelligence units and law enforcement agencies with information regarding potentially suspicious activities that warrant further investigation. The CAMS framework emphasizes that the purpose of SAR/STR filing is not to prove criminal conduct but rather to report transactions or activities that raise reasonable suspicion. Timely and accurate reporting supports national and international efforts to identify criminal networks, trace illicit funds, and protect financial system integrity. Situations requiring SAR/STR filing. Institutions should consider filing a SAR/STR whenever they detect activity that appears unusual, lacks apparent economic purpose, involves suspected criminal proceeds, or suggests money laundering, terrorist financing, sanctions evasion, fraud, or other unlawful conduct. Examples include structured transactions designed to avoid reporting requirements, suspicious wire transfers, unexplained movement of funds, transactions inconsistent with customer profiles, use of shell companies to conceal ownership, and activity linked to high-risk jurisdictions. Employee misconduct and insider involvement may also trigger reporting obligations. Institutions should apply a risk-based analysis and document investigative findings before determining whether the applicable reporting threshold has been met. Confidentiality and protection of SAR/STR information. SAR/STR confidentiality is a fundamental principle of AML/CFT compliance. Regulatory frameworks generally prohibit disclosure of SAR/STR filings or related investigations to customers or unauthorized parties. The CAMS framework stresses that institutions must implement controls to protect sensitive reporting information from improper access, use, or disclosure. Confidentiality safeguards preserve the integrity of investigations, prevent suspects from altering behavior or destroying evidence, and support law enforcement efforts. Access to SAR/STR information should be restricted to authorized personnel with legitimate business needs. Employees must understand that improper disclosure can result in regulatory penalties, legal consequences, and significant reputational damage. Preventing tipping off and information leakage. One of the most important concepts related to SAR/STR protection is the prohibition against tipping off. Tipping off occurs when a customer or third party is informed that a suspicious activity report has been filed or that an investigation is underway. Such disclosures may compromise investigations and enable criminals to evade detection. Institutions should establish strict information security procedures, limit access to investigative records, use secure communication channels, and provide regular employee training regarding confidentiality obligations. Documentation related to SAR/STR reviews should be stored securely and shared only with authorized personnel, regulators, or law enforcement agencies when legally permitted. Responding to law enforcement and government requests. Financial institutions regularly receive requests from law enforcement agencies, financial intelligence units, regulators, courts, and other governmental authorities. The CAMS framework emphasizes that institutions should respond promptly, accurately, and in accordance with applicable laws and internal policies. Requests may involve account records, transaction histories, customer identification information, beneficial ownership data, wire transfer details, or investigative documentation. Institutions should verify the legitimacy and scope of requests before providing information. Compliance, legal, and privacy considerations must be evaluated to ensure that disclosures are properly authorized while maintaining customer confidentiality and regulatory compliance requirements. Government Request Response Model. A practical response model for governmental requests includes verification, assessment, collection, review, disclosure, and documentation. Institutions should first confirm the authority and legal basis for the request. Relevant records should then be gathered, reviewed for accuracy and completeness, and evaluated by compliance and legal personnel. Information should be disclosed only within the scope authorized by law or the request. Detailed records of communications, documents provided, deadlines, and decision-making processes should be maintained. Effective coordination among compliance, legal, operations, and management teams helps ensure timely responses while protecting sensitive information, supporting investigations.